The USS Liberty drifted silently through the vast station, its hull reflecting the distant stars. Inside the bridge, Captain John Walker stood with his hands behind his back, watching the massive structure through the main viewport. The Galactic Council Station was unlike anything humanity had seen before. It was the size of a small moon, home to thousands of beings from across the galaxy. "Captain, we're approaching Docking Bay 17, said Lieutenant Amy Wilson from her station. Her fingers danced across the controls as she guided the ship into position. Walker nodded. Today was important. Today, Ambassador Patricia Morgan would present humanity's proposal to the Council. After 50 years as members of this confederation, humans were ready to contribute more than just diplomacy. "Dr. Miller, run a final check on our systems," Walker ordered. Dr. Kevin Miller, the chief science officer, turned from his console. His glasses reflected the blue glow of his monitors. "All systems are green, Captain. We're ready." The docking procedures took 20 minutes. As the Liberty settled into its berth, Walker could see other ships in nearby bays. The sleek Zarthak vessels with their curved hulls and glowing engines, the blocky Vortani cargo ships, the spider-like scout craft of the Krell. Each civilization had its own design, its own technology. "Time to disembark," said Commander Lisa Harper, checking her diplomatic uniform. "The ambassador will be expecting us." The crew moved through the station's corridors, following the paths marked for their delegation. Other beings passed them, some pausing to stare at the humans. Walker noticed the looks, still curious, still slightly mocking. Even after all this time, some species couldn't accept that humans had joined the stars. The council chamber was enormous. Rows of seats curved in a semicircle rising toward the ceiling. Hundreds of representatives from different worlds sat in their designated areas. At the front, the speaker's platform stood elevated above all. "Humans, to your seats," announced the mechanical voice of the station's AI. Ambassador Morgan stood at the podium in the center, her gray suit immaculate. Around her, translators hummed softly, converting her words into hundreds of languages. Walker and his officers took their places in the human section. Morgan began her speech. Her voice was strong, confident. "Esteemed members of the Galactic Council, I stand before you today with a proposal. For 5 decades, humanity has been honored to be part of this great confederation. We have learned much, and now we wish to offer our services to protect our shared ideals." She touched a button on her podium. A holographic display appeared above her head, showing designs of human warships. "We propose the creation of a joint defense fleet. Our ships would work alongside Council forces to maintain peace and security across our territories." A rumble went through the chamber. Walker could see delegates leaning toward each other, whispering. Many were smiling, and not in a friendly way. From the Zarthak section, Ambassador Krell rose to his feet. He was tall, his scaled skin shimmering, purple in the chamber lights, his multiple eyes focused on Morgan. "The Council recognizes Ambassador Krell of the Zarthak Empire," the speaker announced. Krell's voice boomed through the chamber. "Honored friends, I must speak to this amusing proposal. The humans wish to offer their military to protect us?" He paused for dramatic effect. "Have you seen their ships? Their so-called warships are primitive space boxes. Their weapons are outdated by centuries compared to our technology." Laughter rippled through the chamber. Several other ambassadors joined in. "Their largest vessel," Krell continued, pointing at the holographic display, "couldn't match our smallest scout ship. Their shields would fail against any real weapon. Their engines are so inefficient it takes them weeks to travel between systems that we cross in days." More laughter erupted. Walker felt his jaw tighten. Beside him, Lieutenant Wilson's hands gripped her armrest until her knuckles turned white. Morgan maintained her composure. "Ambassador Krell, I appreciate your assessment. However, I must respectfully disagree. Human innovation..." "Innovation?" Krell interrupted. "You arrived at faster-than-light travel only yesterday in galactic terms. 5 decades in the stars compared to our millennia. Please, Ambassador Morgan, save us the comedy." The laughter was louder now. The Vortani ambassador's tentacles quivered with amusement. The insectoid thresh clicked their mandibles in what passed for their version of mirth. The Zarthak Empire has protected Council space for over 3,000 years, Krell announced proudly. Our ships have evolved through countless conflicts. Our weapons can crack moons. Our shields can withstand supernovas. And you think your pretend military can help us? Morgan's voice remained steady, though Walker could see her hands tightening around the podium. Thank you for your input, Ambassador Krell. I maintain that human capabilities are laughable. Krell finished her sentence. Council members, let us not waste more time on this fantasy. The humans may stay as observers, as students, but, military partners, please. Their ships would be target practice for any real threat. The chamber erupted in full laughter now. Delegates from dozens of species joined in. Even some who had been friendly to humanity before seemed amused by the suggestion. Ambassador Morgan's jaw set firmly. She looked directly at Krell, then slowly scanned the chamber. Every pair of eyes, every sensor, every optical array was on her. I understand your position, she said quietly. But her voice carried to every corner of the massive room. You find humanity amusing. You see us as children playing with toys we don't understand. She paused, letting the words hang in the air. Very well. We accept your assessment. Her tone was calm, almost gentle. But I make you this promise, esteemed council members. The day will come when you will not laugh. The day will come when you will look to the skies and see our warships, and you will know that you were wrong. Krell laughed hardest of all. Oh, Ambassador, such drama. Please, by all means, build your little fleet. We await the day when your warships darken our skies. You'll regret this, Morgan said softly. The translators picked up her words and broadcast them throughout the chamber. All of you will regret this. With that, she stepped down from the podium. Walker and his crew followed her out of the chamber. Behind them, the laughter continued, echoing off the walls like the sound of distant thunder. As they walked through the station corridors, none of them spoke. The humiliation burned in their minds. 50 years of trying to prove themselves, and still they were seen as jokes, primitive, backward, foolish. Walker saw Morgan's reflection in a window as they passed. Her face was set in determination, a small smile on her lips. Something about that smile told him that the other species had made a terrible mistake today. Contact Earth, Morgan said finally as they reached the Liberty. Tell them the vote has failed. Should I send our assessment of the Council's response? Lisa Harper asked. Morgan's smile widened slightly. No need. They already know what we're going to do next. As the USS Liberty prepared to depart, its crew could still hear the echoes of laughter from the station. But on board the human ship, no one was laughing anymore. They had work to do. Far across the galaxy, in a hidden shipyard behind Jupiter's largest moon, Admiral Martha Collins received Patricia Morgan's coded message. She looked out at the construction bays, where sleek warships bristled with weapons that the Council had never seen. Ships that moved in ways that defied everything the galaxy thought possible. The Admiral turned to her chief engineer. Begin immediate production acceleration. Double shifts, triple if possible. Yes, ma'am. All ships? All ships, Collins confirmed. The Council has had their laugh. Now let's show them what humanity can really do. In the vast emptiness of space, the true human fleet waited, hidden from prying eyes. The day would indeed come when human warships would darken the skies of those who laughed. But first, humanity had to prepare for that day. And unknown to the mocking species of the Galactic Council, that preparation was already complete. 6 months after the humiliation at the Council chambers, Admiral Martha Collins stood in Earth's most secret facility. The asteroid base was billions of miles from Earth, positioned perfectly behind a gas giant. No scanning systems could detect it. Not even the most advanced sensors in the galaxy could see through the intense radiation field surrounding it. Status report, Collins demanded from her second-in-command. We have 216 warships operational, replied Captain Mike Johnson. Another 37 ships are in final testing phases. The new USS Vengeance awaits your inspection. Collins nodded. For 30 years, Earth had been building this fleet in secret. While humanity played the role of friendly newcomers at the Council, their best engineers had been working day and night on projects that would change everything. Even their closest allies in the Council didn't know the truth. The Admiral walked through the construction bays. Each ship represented the best of human technology, refined and improved through decades of research. The designs looked unique compared to other species' ships. While Council vessels were bulky or curved, human warships were sleek and angular, built for speed and deadly precision. "Take me to the Vengeance," Collins ordered. They traveled through the asteroid tunnels on a high-speed transport. The USS Vengeance filled the largest construction bay, twice the size of any other human ship. Its black hull absorbed light, making it look like a hole in space itself. Weapon ports lined its surfaces, though what lay beneath the armored plating was humanity's real advantage. "Quantum shielding tested at 300% efficiency," Johnson reported. "Our plasma cannons can cut through any known armor, and the neural link systems allow crew members to respond faster than any biological brain can." Collins placed her hand on the ship's cold hull. "This vessel alone could challenge fleets that the Council considered invincible. When can we deploy?" "We're waiting for activation codes," Johnson replied. "President Taylor wants to time this perfectly." 3 weeks later, the timing became clear. Emergency broadcasts spread across the galaxy. The Krynar Collective, a notorious empire of conquerors, had attacked the Eldarian system. They destroyed orbital stations and were bombarding the planet with plasma weapons. The Council called an emergency session. Zarthak Empire ships, claiming to be the system's protectors, responded to the attack. Council members watched real-time footage on massive screens. Ambassador Krell stood proudly as his fleet approached the enemy. "Watch as Zarthak military might defeats these criminals," Krell announced. His purple scales gleamed as he gestured toward the battle footage. But what happened next shocked everyone. The Krynar ships, smaller than Zarthak vessels, moved with surprising speed. Their weapons tore through Zarthak shields like they didn't exist. Within minutes, 3 Zarthak battleships broke apart under enemy fire. "This is impossible," Krell exclaimed. "Our shield should be—" Another Zarthak ship exploded on screen. The Krynar fleet hadn't lost a single vessel. They moved with precision, targeting exact weak points on every Zarthak ship. "Emergency retreat." The Zarthak commander's voice crackled through the chamber speakers. The surviving ships fled, leaving Eldarian civilians to their fate. Ambassador Morgan stood slowly from the human section. "Permission to speak, honored speaker." The speaker, visibly shaken by watching Zarthak power proven ineffective, granted permission. "Humanity offers military assistance to the Eldarian people," Morgan announced. "We have defense forces ready to deploy." Krell's laugh was nervous now. "What could your primitive ships do that our advanced fleet cannot?" "I believe recent events have shown that your fleet may not be as advanced as you thought," Morgan replied, calmly. "Nevertheless, the offer stands." The Council dissolved into arguments. Multiple voices demanded immediate action. Others questioned Zarthak's military reputation. In the chaos, Morgan received a message on her personal device. One word: ready. That evening, Council members gathered around projection screens as human defense forces prepared to deploy. Many still wore expressions of amusement at humanity's persistence. "Watch closely," Captain John Walker announced from the USS Liberty's bridge. His words were broadcast to the Council chamber. "We have something to show you." The display shifted to external cameras capturing the asteroid belt. Suddenly, space itself seemed to ripple. Hidden doors slid open in rocks that had orbited for millions of years. From these concealed hangars emerged sleek warships, their hulls darker than space itself. 100 battle-ready vessels, Walker announced, fully equipped with technologies you've never seen. The footage showed human ships, performing maneuvers that defied known physics. They turned instantly without the typical arc that all ships needed. Their acceleration was instant, not gradual. Weapons tests showed beams of energy that disintegrated target asteroids completely. These are holographic tricks, Krell insisted. Special effects, human propaganda. Then perhaps Ambassador Krell would welcome a demonstration? Walker responded. He turned to his tactical officer. Lieutenant Wilson, prepare a limited display. On screen, the USS Liberty moved toward a dead moon. Its main weapon charged with visible electrical energy. A beam of pure plasma shot forward, straight through the moon's core. The celestial body cracked in half, then crumbled into asteroids. The council chamber fell silent. Even Krell couldn't find words. Our fleet command also presents an offer, Walker continued. Krynar forces are advancing on 3 more systems. We are prepared to intervene. Admiral Collins appeared on the display next. This footage is being broadcast live from our fleet. USS Vengeance, USS Defiance, USS Aurora, USS Titan, and USS Phoenix stand ready. We request permission to protect Council space. Permission denied, Krell shouted. The Zarthak Empire does not need assistance from... An explosion interrupted him. News feeds showed another Eldarian city collapsing under Krynar bombardment. Thousands of lives ended in flames while the Council argued. Morgan stood again. With respect to Ambassador Krell and the Council, humanity will deploy regardless. We will not watch innocent beings die while politics prevent action. President Richard Taylor appeared on screens across the Council station. His recorded message was clear and direct. The United Earth Defense Force is hereby authorized to protect any system under attack by the Krynar Collective or other hostile forces. We no longer seek Council approval. We seek only to prevent further loss of life. Within hours, the first wave of human ships disappeared in bright flashes of light. Unlike other species slower than light engines, humanity had developed instantaneous travel. They arrived at war zones before anyone could stop them. The Council reconvened the next day for emergency sessions. Multiple species demanded explanations. Fear mixed with curiosity as reports came in from various systems. Human ships appeared from nowhere, a Vortani delegate reported. They engaged Krynar forces immediately. Their weapons, they're unlike anything in our databases. Another report followed. The USS Phoenix destroyed 12 enemy vessels in under a minute. Their shields didn't even flicker when return fire hit them. Krell stood, his earlier confidence replaced by concern. This violates Council protocols. Humans are acting without permission. Ambassador Morgan remained seated, her expression calm. The Council had its chance to act. You chose to laugh instead of listen. Now humanity will protect those you cannot. News of the first major engagement reached the station at midday. The USS Vengeance and its escort fleet had encountered 50 Krynar ships attacking a mining colony. The battle lasted 7 minutes. All enemy vessels were destroyed. Human losses, 0. Impossible, whispered delegates throughout the chamber. The human ships darkened our skies. A refugee from the mining colony testified via communication link. They arrived like a storm. The Krynar didn't stand a chance. Those ships, they moved like they were alive. As the session ended, Admiral Collins sent a final message to the Council. Operation Horizon has begun. We will liberate every system under Krynar occupation. The galaxy will see what humanity can truly accomplish. The laughter from months ago was just a memory now. In its place grew a new emotion among Council species, respect tinged with fear. The humans had hidden their true power perfectly. The question now wasn't whether humanity could help protect the galaxy. The question was whether anyone could stop them if they chose to do more than just defend. Captain Walker watched from the Liberty's bridge as more human warships joined the fleet. Each departure was met with cheers from rescued colonists and nervous whispers from Council observers. The phase of ridicule had ended. The age of human military dominance had begun. 2 weeks after Operation Horizon began, distress signals flooded the Council network. The human colony of New Terra had detected a massive Krynar fleet approaching their system. 500 enemy warships, the largest concentration ever assembled by the aggressive species. Captain John Walker received the alert aboard the USS Liberty. He immediately opened a secure channel to Earth Command. Admiral Collins, New Terra is under threat. Enemy count, 500 vessels. Confirmed, Captain. The USS Vengeance and its battle group are en route. Commander Rick Johnson has tactical command. Estimated arrival, 46 minutes. Walker frowned at his navigation display. Admiral, our fastest ships would need 3 hours to reach New Terra from our current position. That's using standard faster-than-light travel, Collins replied. Commander Johnson has other methods. 45 minutes later, every sensor in the Council station detected the flash. The USS Vengeance and 49 escort ships dropped out of hyperspace directly above New Terra. The entire battle group had appeared instantly, 3 times faster than any known technology could achieve. All Council monitors forward battle feed to the main chamber. Walker ordered his communications officer. They want to see what happens when someone attacks human colonists. The massive screens in the Council chamber lit up with live footage. Representatives rushed to their seats. Ambassador Krell demanded an explanation for the sudden interruption of his speech. This is relevant to Council security, Ambassador Morgan replied. The Krynar Collective has chosen to attack a human world. You all wished to see our military capabilities, now you will. The battle began immediately. Krynar ships, arranged in standard attack formation, opened fire with their plasma weapons. The human defenders stood perfectly still, not even attempting to evade. Energy blasts struck the USS Vengeance and its escorts. Their shields are gone, Krell commented. Human arrogance will cost them dear. The human ships remained unharmed. Not a single scorch mark appeared on their dark hulls. The quantum shielding had absorbed every shot without visible effort. Johnson to all units. Commander Rick Johnson's voice came through the chamber speakers. Display combat formation Delta 7. Let's give our admirers a proper demonstration. The human ships moved with impossible grace. The USS Vengeance and its escorts formed a perfect sphere, rotating slowly. Each ship maintained exact distance from its neighbors, creating a geometric formation that had never been seen in space combat. Open fire, Johnson ordered. Pure plasma streams erupted from each human ship. But these weren't the simple energy beams that other species used. The human weapons carved through space, bending and curving to hit targets behind cover. They split apart, each beam becoming dozens of smaller ones that struck different enemies simultaneously. The first wave of Krynar ships exploded in brilliant light. 50 vessels destroyed in the opening seconds of combat. The enemy formation wavered but continued advancing. Their tactics are primitive, Lieutenant Amy Wilson noted from her station aboard the Liberty. They're treating this like a standard space battle. They haven't realized what they're facing. On the battle display, human ships demonstrated maneuvers that violated every law of physics the Council understood. They reversed direction without slowing, accelerated without showing engine burn, and turned at angles that should have crushed their crews. The neural link systems allow human pilots to operate their ships as extensions of their own bodies. Watch carefully, Ambassador Morgan addressed the stunned Council members. This is how humanity fights. The Krynar fleet attempted to surround the human defenders. They split into groups trying to attack from multiple directions, but the USS Vengeance anticipated every move. Its tactical computers, linked to the minds of its crew, predicted enemy behavior before the Krynar commanders knew their own plans. Explosions filled the void. Krynar warships, each larger than most human vessels, broke apart under sustained plasma fire. Their shields failed instantly. Their armor crumbled like paper. Their weapons could barely scratch the quantum barriers protecting the human ships. Impossible, gasped the Vortani delegate. His tentacles shook as he watched the destruction. Those shields should fail. Their weapons draw too much power. They can't maintain this level of combat. But the human ships continued fighting without pause. The USS Defiance executed a maneuver that brought it within meters of an enemy flagship. Its weapons tore through the larger ship's core, resulting in a detonation that destroyed 6 nearby Krynar vessels. 1 hour mark, Johnson reported. Krynar forces reduced by 62%. Human casualties, 0. Ambassador Krell's scaled Face had paled to a sickly green. "This isn't possible. Our intelligence report said—" "Your intelligence was wrong," Morgan interrupted. "As was your assessment of humanity. Perhaps now you understand why I promised you would regret laughing at us." The battle reached its final phase when the USS Vengeance deployed its secret weapon. A device that the Council thought was impossible. A singularity generator. A controlled gravity well formed in space pulling 12 Krynar ships together. They collided and merged into molten metal before exploding in a cascade reaction. "That technology is forbidden," the Thresh ambassador chittered in alarm. "The Galactic Accords expressly prohibit gravitational weapons." Earth signed those accords when humanity was weak, Morgan responded. "We honored them while we couldn't defend ourselves. But we never agreed to helplessness." The remaining Krynar ships attempted to retreat. Their faster-than-light engines activated, but the human vessels pursued. Weapons fired across vast distances, striking enemy ships before they could complete their jumps. The advanced targeting systems never missed. 5 Krynar ships remaining, Wilson reported. "They're requesting surrender terms." "Denied," came the cold response from Commander Johnson. "They showed no mercy to Eldarian civilians. They received none from us." The last enemy vessels died in brilliant flashes. The battle ended 91 minutes after it began. 500 Krynar warships eliminated. Human losses remained 0. Silence filled the council chamber. On the screens, human ships maintained perfect formation, scanning for any remaining threats. Their black hulls showed minimal damage despite enduring thousands of weapons impacts. Council members, Admiral Collins, appeared on the display. "This battle demonstrates humanity's commitment to protecting innocent lives. The Krynar Collective will no longer threaten peaceful worlds." President Richard Taylor's face replaced the Admiral's. "Humanity extends this offer to all Council worlds. We will defend any system that requests our protection. The price is simple. Acknowledge our military capabilities and cease treating us as children." Ambassador Morgan stood for the final time that day. "The vote on our military alliance was 3 months ago. You laughed. You mocked our ships, our technology, our very presence in this council. Today, you've seen the truth." She paused, letting her words echo through the chamber. "Human warships have darkened the skies above New Terra. They've shown what your advanced military forces could not accomplish. The question now isn't whether we can protect you. The question is whether you'll accept our help before it's too late." As the session ended, delegates hurried to confer with their home worlds. Messages flooded the communication networks. Species that had dismissed humanity weeks ago now requested military advisors, weapon specifications, and defense treaties. Krell approached Morgan in the corridor after the session. His proud demeanor had cracked, revealing uncertainty beneath. "Ambassador, I spoke in error during our last meeting." "Yes," Morgan agreed simply. Perhaps the Zarthak Empire could benefit from consultation with human military experts." Morgan considered his request. "Perhaps. But first, Ambassador Krell, you must ask yourself, are you prepared to admit that you were wrong?" As she walked away, Morgan allowed herself a small smile. The laughter had stopped. The fear would fade, but respect, true respect, would require time, and humanity had proven they had the military power to earn all the time they needed. Captain Walker watched from the Liberty's bridge as more human warships arrived at New Terra. Each vessel represented decades of secret preparation. The galaxy would soon learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology. It was their determination to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. The age of mockery had ended. The era of human military dominance had truly begun. The victory at New Terra changed everything. Within days, requests for human military aid flooded Earth Command. Species that once laughed now begged for protection. But humanity had a different plan. "We're launching Operation Liberation," President Richard Taylor announced to the United Earth Council. "Every Krynar-occupied system will be freed." Admiral Martha Collins stood before a holographic star map. Red markers showed 37 systems under Krynar control. "Intelligence suggests they're regrouping." building up for a massive counterattack. Let you, Then prepare, Captain John Walker said from his position aboard the USS Liberty. The more ships they gather in one place, the quicker this ends. The human liberation campaign began that week. Unlike Council forces that needed months to plan operations, humanity struck fast. Small battle groups appeared at occupied systems without warning. They engaged enemy forces immediately, using tactics that confused and overwhelmed the Kreenar. Military. At the Vorthak system, 12 human ships faced 80 Kreenar defenders. The USS Phoenix led the attack, its plasma cannons creating deadly patterns in space. Human ships moved in formations that seemed like death itself, flowing water that adapted to enemy movements instantly. They're not just fighting, observed Commander Rick Johnson from his flagship. They're dancing. Every ship knows exactly where others will be. The neural link systems connected human crews in ways the galaxy had never imagined. Captains thought commands and ships responded. Gunners felt targets through their weapons. Pilots merged with their vessels. The Kreenar faced enemies who moved and fought as a single organism. Citizens in occupied territories watched the battles from shelters. Human ships would arrive suddenly, darkening skies that had known only fear for months. Plasma beams turned enemy vessels into fireworks. Within hours, freedom returned. The humans came from nowhere, survivors reported throughout the galaxy. Their ships blocked out the sun with their numbers. Every Kreenar ship died. Not one human vessel had even a scratch. The Zarthak Empire, still smarting from their earlier failures, watched with growing dread. Ambassador Krell requested private meetings with human diplomats. His requests were denied. First the Eldarians, then New Terra. Now they free Kreenar slaves, said General Cash of the Zarthak military. They're building something. This isn't just about defense anymore. Indeed, rescued populations didn't just return to normal life. Human ships remained as protectors. Human advisors helped rebuild damaged stations. Human technology improved agricultural systems, power grids, medical facilities. Every freed world became stronger than before the Kreenar attacked. We're not just defeating an enemy, Ambassador Patricia Morgan explained to a private gathering of influential council members. We're establishing a new reality, one where aggression fails, where protection succeeds, where cooperation brings prosperity. The Kreenar Collective's response came 2 months into the liberation campaign. They gathered their remaining forces, over 1,500 ships, at their capital system, Kreenar Prime. Defense platforms orbited their homeworld, each mount powerful enough to destroy battleships. Energy shields surrounded the entire system. They're throwing everything into this final battle, Admiral Kevin Brooks reported from aboard the USS Retribution. Every ship they still have, every weapon platform, every defensive system. Earth's response was equally massive. The USS Vengeance led a fleet of 300 ships toward Kreenar Prime. The galaxy held its breath, watching what many predicted would be the largest space battle in recorded history. The Council called emergency sessions. Multiple species offered assistance, but humanity politely declined. "This is our fight," President Taylor declared. "We began this campaign to end a threat to galactic peace. We will finish it." The human fleet approached Kreenar Prime in formation. Instead of the usual sphere or line that other species used for battle, humanity created a shape that confused every military analyst, a perfect three-dimensional star. "What tactical advantage does this formation provide?" asked Commander Steve Miller from the USS Aurora. "None," Admiral Brooks replied. "But it looks impressive. And today, appearances matter." The Kreenar initiated combat the moment human ships entered. Weapon range. Thousands of plasma streams and missile barrages filled space. The defensive platforms added their firepower to the storm of destruction. It was the most intense opening salvo in galactic history. Human shields absorbed it all. Quantum barriers flickered but held. When the light cleared, all 300 human ships remained intact and undamaged. "Return fire," Brooks ordered. What followed defied understanding. Human ships didn't just shoot back. They rewrote the rules of space combat. Weapons that split into millions of focused beams. Teleportation, jammers that prevented enemy ships from escaping, singularity mines that created micro-black holes. Each technology surpassed what the galaxy thought possible. Krynar ships exploded by the dozens. Their mighty capital ships, each carrying thousands of crew members, broke apart under sustained plasma fire. Defense platforms that had stood for centuries crumbled. Energy shields that protected the entire system turned to starlight and dissipated. Krynar command ship is signaling, Wilson reported from the Liberty, which observed from a safe distance. They want to negotiate. No negotiations, Brooks responded. They didn't negotiate with the civilians they murdered. The battle intensified. Human adaptive AI systems learned from every enemy action, countering strategies before the Krynar completed them. Ships dodged weapons fire that had already begun traveling. Shields predicted impact points and reinforced accordingly. Human technology operated at levels that seemed like magic to observers. Within 3 hours, half the Krynar fleet was destroyed. Their defense network lay in ruins. Only their homeworld remained protected by a final planetary shield. Deploy the resonance disruptors, commanded Admiral Brooks. New human technology activated. Sound waves, somehow transmitted through the vacuum of space, struck the planetary shield. The energy barrier vibrated, harmonics building to dangerous levels. The shield generators overloaded, creating a cascade failure that brought down the entire protective system. Krynar Prime stood defenseless. The capital world of a military empire that had terrorized sectors for generations was completely vulnerable. Human ships held their fire, weapons locked on the planet's surface. This is Admiral Kevin Brooks of the United Earth Defense Force. His voice broadcast to every receiver in the system. The Krynar Collective is defeated. Surrender is your only option. Silence filled the void. On the planet's surface, billions of Krynar civilians watched their mighty fleets burn. They had never imagined defeat was possible. The Krynar Supreme. Commander's image appeared on every ship's display. We surrender. Unconditionally. Admiral Brooks nodded. Your military assets will be impounded. Your leadership will face trial for war crimes. Your civilians will be given aid to rebuild their society into something peaceful. As the battle ended, Council observers transmitted the footage throughout the galaxy. Ships that everyone had mocked had systematically dismantled the most feared military force in known space. Human warships had indeed darkened the skies, not with threat, but with the shadow of protection that covered former enemy worlds. Back in the Council chamber, delegates struggled to process what they had witnessed. The Krynar Collective, which many species feared too much to confront, had been eliminated by the same humans they had laughed at just months before. The balance of power has changed, whispered the aged Vortani delegate. Humanity isn't rising to join the strong. They've already surpassed us all. As human ships began systematic patrols of conquered Krynar space, a new era dawned for the galaxy. The age of underestimating humanity had ended. The age of fear was ending too. What emerged instead was something unprecedented, an age where the strongest power dedicated itself to protecting the weak. 5 years passed since the Krynar Collective surrendered. The galaxy changed in ways no one could have imagined before. Human ships patrolled the stars, not as conquerors, but as guardians. Their black hulls had become symbols of safety rather than fear. The Galactic Council will now begin its 217th annual session, announced the speaker. The chamber looked different now. The curved rows remained, but human technology had improved everything from the lighting to the translation systems. Captain John Walker, now Admiral Walker, stood at the entrance with Ambassador Patricia Morgan. They watched delegates file into their seats. Remember when they laughed at us? Morgan asked quietly. Walker nodded. Seems like a lifetime ago. They took their places in the human section, which had expanded considerably. Earth now held 5 seats instead of 1. Their status as military protectors had earned them greater influence. Ambassador Krell entered last. The once proud Zarthak representative moved slowly, his purple scales dulled with age. He nodded respectfully to the human delegation as he passed. First, order of business, the speaker announced. The formal recognition of Director Susan Martinez as Supreme Council member. A tall woman with silver-streaked hair approached the central platform. Susan Martinez had led the rebuilding efforts across former Krynar territories. Her work had transformed devastated worlds into thriving centers of commerce and culture. The vote was unanimous, the speaker continued. For the first time in council history, a human will serve as supreme member. Applause filled the chamber. Species that once mocked humanity now stood in respect. Martinez took her position on the highest platform, overlooking the entire council. I accept this honor with humility, she began. 5 years ago, many in this chamber doubted humanity's place among the stars. Today we stand together as partners in peace. Her words carried weight that no humans had before. 50 council worlds now operated under human protection. Joint defense fleets patrolled troubled borders. Military technology sharing had eliminated piracy in 3 sectors. Our mission remains unchanged, Martinez continued. To protect those who cannot protect themselves. To stand against aggression wherever it appears. To build a galaxy where cooperation replaces conflict. As she spoke, displays around the chamber showed human achievements. The liberation of the Thorian mining colonies. The defense of the Vortani homeworld during the asteroid crisis. The medical teams that stopped the Malvarian plague. Today we begin a new chapter, Martinez concluded. Not as separate species competing for power, but as a unified galaxy working toward prosperity for all. When the session ended, Admiral Walker joined. A reception in the station's grand hall. Representatives from dozens of worlds approached him, offering thanks or seeking advice. Admiral, a moment of your time. Walker turned to find Ambassador Krell at his side. The years had not been kind to the Zarthak diplomat. His once arrogant posture had given way to a slight stoop. Of course, Ambassador. How can I help you? Krell guided him to a quiet corner. I have been meaning to speak with you privately. About what happened. Before. Walker waited patiently. He had learned that some conversations required time. I laughed at your ships, Krell said finally. I mocked your technology, your capabilities, your very presence in council space. I was wrong, and I have paid for that mistake with my empire's decline. It was true. The Zarthak Empire had fallen from its position of dominance. Their military reputation shattered, their political influence diminished. They remained powerful but no longer dictated council policy. The past is behind us, Walker replied. What matters is what we build now. Krell nodded slowly. My successor will take my place next cycle. Before I leave, I wish to ask you something that has troubled me for years. Go ahead. You had those ships all along, Krell said. The technology, the weapons, the shields. You could have taken control of the council at any time. Why didn't you? Walker smiled. That's not who we are, Ambassador. Humanity didn't build its fleet to conquer. We built it to protect what we value. And what do humans value, Admiral? Freedom. Justice. The right of all beings to live without fear. Walker gestured toward the gathered delegates. We value this. Different species working together. Different perspectives creating something greater than any could alone. Across the hall, Director Martinez was speaking with a group of young diplomats. Next-generation leaders from 20 species, including Zarthak, gathered around her. They listened intently as she described plans for expanding protection to Outer Rim worlds. The children on my homeworld learn of the Battle of New Terra, Krell admitted. They speak of human ships with awe. The day their warships darkened our skies has become legend. Walker shook his head. That's not the legend I'd prefer. I'd rather they remember what came after, the peace we built together. On the large display screens throughout the station, images from across protected space showed human and alien ships flying together. Planetary defense stations bore symbols of multiple species. Training academies taught combat techniques from a dozen military traditions. A soft alert chimed from Walker's communication device. Admiral Martha Collins, now Supreme Commander of United Defense Forces, appeared in holographic form. Admiral Walker, sensors have detected unusual activity in Sector 87, possible hostile forces gathering. The USS Vengeance and its battle group are en route, but President Taylor requests your assessment. Walker looked around the reception, from enemies to friends, from mockery to respect, from isolation to leadership. The journey had been difficult but worthwhile. Tell the President I'll depart immediately, Walker replied. And Martha, have the defense fleet alert our allies. Whatever comes next, we face it together. As he left the station, Walker passed the main observation deck. Through the massive windows, he could see the combined fleet in orbit. Human ships flew alongside vessels from 20 different worlds. Their hulls, once so different in design philosophy, now shared similar elements. Their weapons, once vastly unequal, now complemented each other in battle formations. Walker stopped for a moment to watch. The ships moved in perfect harmony, planets visible behind them. To any observer, it would appear as if the combined fleet darkened the skies of the station. But these weren't just human warships anymore. These were the protectors of a united galaxy. And that, Walker thought, was worth far more than the satisfaction of proving their doubters wrong. He boarded his shuttle, ready for whatever challenge awaited. The laughter of the past was long forgotten. The future called, and humanity would answer, not alone, but with allies at their side.